this season it's just like, feels like it's fallen off completely. Alright. The slog to find a playable Grixis deck continues. This is a Grixis midrange deck that someone has submitted. My initial concern from looking at the deck list, I think Discovery is a card that's in a little bit awkward spot in the format overall. This card isn't really good against this card, and spending 2 mana to like set up your next draw tends to be really slow and awkward against things like Mono Red. That being said, the Dispersal half is not irrelevant in a lot of spots. Like, it lets you take things like Wilderness Reclamation off the table in certain positions, so maybe that flexibility makes it worthwhile. MK all day, thanks for the 2/3 of a year, welcome back. At any rate, we've got good top end though. We've got Nyx and some Ugin, so let's go ahead and dive on into some matches here and see, is this the Grixis deck that finally makes me not be sad to play Grixis? Better than Chemisters. That's a low bar. I think Chemisters Insight's also in a very bad spot overall. Don't really want to play Grixis Gate, so let's mulligan this. Sand needs some lands, but it's got castable spells. The negates in the main deck also feel somewhat questionable to me. Having some counter spells and like a deck that's largely a tap out control deck feels a little bit awkward. Grixis Dragons was okay. Grixis Dragons is definitely my pick for the best Grixis deck I've played so far this season. And like, immediately here, we look at this hand full of just like mid-range cards I can never beat, basically. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I take this. Like, if I don't take this, Davriel maybe I just let Davriel be bad. I'll take Tamiyo because she rebuys whatever I take anyways. Maybe I can hold this negate for the Command the Dreadhorde. Yikes. Update Stream Decker, yep. Good call. Alright, Stream Decker should be good to go. Castu, thank you for the brand new tier on sub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, we're unlucky to a degree, but like Miss Again, you could like write off games like this as me being unlucky, or you could like take a step back and think, huh, maybe these negates should be play cards that play to the board. Maybe my deck that's trying to curve out to 5 and 6 should be playing 26 lands. Like, these are all very real considerations as I play the deck and sit here missing land drops. Yeah, I agree, Ryrock. You basically Tamiyo is ungrindable. It is impossible to outgrind Tamiyo as a Magic card. She just gets back every and I don't have any Ritual of Soot in my deck as a comeback mechanic from here. This is game 1, match 1. So I get Ritual of Soot in my sideboard, so that's nice. Davriel, I'm not convinced that this is a playable Magic card overall. I feel like a lot of the grindy decks in the format have things that play to the board, and anytime this card's getting attacked, it seems to leave a lot to be desired. Off to a Grixis start. That is definitely a way to put it. Off to a Grixis start. Narset's probably bad for the same reason Davriel's bad, and that I can't defend it consistently. I think I'd rather have a split on these than 4 of this one. Yeah, I would believe that, Castu. Like I said, the best version of Grixis we've played so far was a Dragon's variation, and I definitely think that having an aggressive slant in these colors is probably an ideal spot to be in the format, just because these colors really don't feel like they have the appropriate tools to allow them to be controlling successfully. Like, you can't really go to a long game and outvalue this Command the Dreadhorde deck, so like, being aggressive and killing them before they get to that long game is ideal a lot of the time. Reprint to Balt. I feel like you should change your username. We got it to Balt reprint, and he's great. All right, we're gonna hit 4 lands in 4 turns. That's exciting. Yep. I have Ritual of Soot to clean these up at least. I have Bedevil to clean this up, so I guess we just take the Command the Dreadhorde. 5 lands in 5 turns. I don't even know what to do with my hands, chat. I don't even know what to do with my hands. A spike is the persona of a competitive Magic player. So r/spikes is a competitive Magic subreddit. Can you discuss the Thought Erasure strategy a little? Well, in this case, Command the Dreadhorde gets my opponent back whatever else I would take away. So taking a card other than Command the Dreadhorde doesn't make sense because they'll just get it back eventually. It's not punch-worthy because Command the Dreadhorde targets both graveyards. And again, this is such a clean example. Oh, you know what? I should probably plus this here. I don't think it matters. I think we've lost and we just can't do anything. Like, they get to play this Teferi and tuck my Nicol Bolas, and then I get to Bedevil their Teferi, but then they have Command the Dreadhorde in their hand, right? They're just gonna bring all their stuff back and we're dead. Nemaz, thank you for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. There's a lot of great people you can ship that to every month here on Twitch. Thanks for sending it my way. And Brosselgot, thanks for re-upping for the 2nd month in a row. I appreciate it. Yeah, there's a few cards you could. Ooh. So you're saying there's a chance. Take a chance on me. As someone who's been a staunch opponent of the card Unmoored Ego in Standard, I do think and this is, okay, yep. I hit my negate for the Command the Dreadhorde, but they're playing 4 cards that just stop my counter spells. It's just like, well, shoot. There's a Mobilized District in our lands. That's so greedy. This deck's only playing 25 lands. Hey, another good draw. Another good draw. Like using Teferi's because it lets you play Thief of Sanity while holding up Negate. It's an interesting thought. God bless America, my country. 'Tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. We'll flip this neck. Do 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 do. Do I want to rest? Do 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 do. I almost feel like I'm not going to have a good window to play this card, and it dies to Little Vraska. I'm going to bring in 3 Duress, and I'm going to bring the last Nicol Bolas back in. Let's try this. Kinda. I mean, like, the counterspells to a degree helped us there, and the fact that my opponent never drew a Tamiyo made our discard spells a little bit better. And, like, this hand isn't keepable because if 2 of these were black sources, I would keep this because then we could cast all of our spells. But this hand's a great example of a hand that needs to draw spells, but it also needs to draw lands because it's still missing black mana. Ooh, my opponent mulliganed to 5. Go to 4. Go to 4. Rats. We're so unlucky. So this isn't really a Dreadhorde Butcher deck. So Dreadhorde Butcher on its own isn't really a lot of pressure. You need to use it in conjunction with other things to apply significant pressure. And it just doesn't really do that, unfortunately. I have seen some. I saw a Grixis deck boarding into Legion War Boss plus Dreadhorde Butcher, which is like almost enough pressure. But the problem with it in this matchup specifically is that in this matchup, Dreadhorde Butcher isn't even that good of pressure for you because they have a lot of creatures in play. Yeah, I agree. And someone mentioned, Ketsu said the top 100 version had Butcher, Thief, and Legion. Yeah, I believe that. Like, those all sound like great cards to have. I think I'm just going up here. And I'm not blocking here, so I'm just going to go ahead and attack. This is why you play the games, right? Like, I'd imagine this matchup's incredibly difficult for our deck, but, you know, sometimes you run a little bit good and they mulligan, and they mulligan and then stumble, and you get to get them. Double Narset, yep.
I have other schemes to attend to. I outsmarted you eons ago.
When your opponent is behind, Nicol Bolas buries them very quickly, right? Because he 2-for-1s them every single activation. So like we're like in a way we're drawing 3 cards in a turn. Seems very reasonable. It needs some more lands, but we have Thought Erasure plus Discovery to help get us there. This breaks up some early plays. We have this for removal spell. Thoughts on Tibalt over Davriel? I could see Tibalt being an okay sideboard card for this deck, specifically to hate on the Command the Dreadhorde matchup. First time paying real money for a sub. Wanted to show some support. Thanks for the consistently great content. Well, thanks for keeping me around, Boondock. Boondock Snake. I love Twitch usernames. They're great. That's such a good movie. Now, a touch unfortunate here that we hit another land that it wasn't a black source. This is a fantastic hit for the top of our deck, though, right? We're going to get to curve Thief into Nicol Bolas here, which is wonderful. That being said, the opponent is going to see a lot of... Wow, they didn't opt. Weird. They're going to see a lot of cards here, so I wouldn't be too surprised if they, like, find their way into a Shocker, a Lava Coil. We got Full Art Thief, finally. They added this in the last patch. Thank goodness. Thank goodness we finally got us a Full Art Thief. Alright, scale of 1 to dead. Where's this Thief at? Morning, B-Mick. Is there going to be a shocking revelation for this Thief of Sanity? Play a tapped land. Rats. Rats! Oh, gosh, it feels good. Why does it feel so good, chat? Why does it feel so good? So I already have Discovery as like a cantrip, so I think I'm just going to take the shock as a way to keep their board in check. So, one of the things you need to understand about that article, Kaisen, is that those are minimums and guidelines. So, it's very, those are your percentages to cast with 90% consistency. So, if I want to have more consistency than that, I need to have more white sources. So I agree. If I wanna push it to the absolute limit and be as greedy as possible, I could cut white sources in that deck. But I also think having fewer dual lands will lose me more games than having more basics will win me because of cards like Trophy and Subtle Wreckage. It's possible I should have been a little bit greedy there and cast Discovery to dig for my 5th land. Because if I Discoveried into my 5th land, I still could have Bedecked plus Shocked. And I also could have hit something like, I guess Tyrant Scorn doesn't kill their thing, huh? Hey, Shadowrail, thanks for the 17 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. So I have 1 pigeon in the bin. Thoughts on running Kefnet over the Ravager. I like that this card flips into something in the long term that's pretty game-winning, which is nice. This deck isn't really playing anything like Chemist's Insight or Enter the God Eternals to really let me leverage Kefnet's text box to great effect. I also like that Nicol Bolas is a guaranteed 2-for-1, whereas Kefnet often just gets killed by 1-for-1 removal, generating little to no value. Yes, Ravager feels much better when it gets bounced to your hand. That is definitely the truth. It's a little bit unlucky. All right, well, their hand has absolutely nothing left, so that's nice. Get you to 8. I'm glad we didn't try and gamble and dig for the land 2 turns ago and we're conservative, because we'd have missed. Yeah, Kefnet's triggered ability also does not work against Teferi, that is correct. Because even though you're casting a copy, you're still casting a spell. So your timing on your ability to do that is restricted. We're looking to dodge like Bacon Bolt, Drake's Finale here. There are no Vraska's Contempts in our 75. We have copies of Bedevil instead, I would imagine. Bedevil does not exile, but it is a little bit more efficient on the curve. Do you have a Finale? It feels like they have a Finale the way they keep looking at their graveyard. And they have 2 Shocks in here, so they could Finale and kill this. And if that happens, like, all my pressure is gone. But I guess I can pick apart their board, too, so it's not too terrible. Oh, they have to pick 1 instant, 1 sorcery. Good call. I was forgetting the exact text on that card. So they probably want to pick, like, Shock plus a Charter Course. Oh, just double cantrip. Okay. Sequencing here is wrong on the opponent. They should have cast them in the other direction because this gives them fewer chances to find a Phoenix. So if they would have cast the Opt first, they could have dig deeper to find another bird this turn. Although now that they found a radical idea, it doesn't really matter. Would not be surprised to see radical idea jumpstart here. So again, Kaisen, and this is the reason why mana base building is really complicated, and that article is a good baseline. It is a baseline. It's not a these are everything that you need to do. That is a 90% baseline. What you see recommended in that article is for a best practices, and as you gain experience building decks and playing a lot, you identify which colors you want to be able to cast early and consistently. So again, you also want to weigh in when you're building your mana bases, what's the punishment for when you miss on your colors. So for example, in my hero deck, I want to have lots of white mana, more than the 90% threshold, because the punishment for not being able to cast my white 2-drop on 2 is really high, whereas the punishment for not being able to cast, say, my green spell on turn 3 is much lower. So again, there's a lot of risk to reward analysis. What's the downside if I miss versus what's the downside if I have to wait an additional turn or two? Which is again why there's so much that goes into building Magic decks in general, because it's not just as simple as, oh, you follow this chart and you're gonna have an ideal setup. Main deck Negate coming in clutch there. I probably just want the threat, huh? It draws a card too. Yeah, the negates have been good, and that's why a lot of the times I play with decks before making changes, even though I do comment on things that I think look good or look bad. Because I'm interested in getting a feel for, like, why people have put these cards in their deck and how they actually play out. Because a lot of times people have reasons for the cards they're putting in their decks, right? So I would agree that the main deck negates have been impressive. I don't think I want Duress in this matchup. They tend to see a lot of cards. But this also keeps them off of their critical mass a little bit, which is nice. This is probably fine. I think I'd rather have moments to, like, have more ways to kill their Goblin Electromancers and Birds after they come back. We like to see Rekindling Phoenix. Rekindling Phoenix is not a card that's been popular in the opponent's archetype in my experience. Usually when they diversify threats post-board, they bring in things like Saheeli and Ral. But obviously there's a lot of variation in all these decks. People can do a lot of different things depending on their playstyle preference. Davriel's a card that would come in against a lot of the Planeswalker style decks. But honestly, I'm not convinced that he's better than just playing something like Legion Warboss to just kill them. Like having Legion Warboss and Thief of Sanity post board seems potentially very powerful. This is a great example. Narset
You could use some training.
is just a card with a static effect in this matchup, in my opinion. You don't down tick it, you just sit there and you make them try and kill it. Nah, it's just not very competitive, Lance. We actually, if you look back in my YouTube archives, you'll find a Davriel build-around deck that was Grixis, and it was just not particularly good.
We still have much to learn.
Hey, what's going on, Polly? Thanks for 11 months. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Yeah, they're really afraid of Thief, I guess. I was gonna play this and start grinding away at them. They're very much a critical mass deck, so like, getting to thin this out is good. This also uses my mana efficiently this turn. And like, even if my opponent kills this, they won't be able to kill this with a Phoenix attack next turn, which is nice. And then, the Moment of Craving is great, because they clear this out and attack here. Next turn I'll be able to Moment of Craving this plus stick Narset to slow down all their card draw again.
Witness a mote of my power.
I agree, we are super far ahead at the moment. For the person who said it seems hard for them to win.
Conceivable.
And again, Narset.
If you wish to surrender.
Narset is a static ability in this matchup. She is not getting activated. She is just sitting there making their life miserable, so they can't cast a lot of their cantrips. Okie doke. So this Moment of Craving is basically just gonna be GG. Yeah, I don't know why they picked Tormenting Voice there. Oh, I guess they didn't have another choice, huh? I would not be surprised if this is a concession moment. They're pretty far behind even if they get to hit here, but without their Phoenix, they're just like out of gas. Abzan Hero had a real bad time again today, C-Lab. I'm gonna be pulling it off my website, actually. Was not a good scene. Yeah, it's been a second. Let's chill for a moment. How we doing, folks? Welcome up, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good night to everybody wherever you're at in the world. Thanks for hanging out here today. My name is Jeff Hoagland. I'm a full-time streamer and content producer here on Twitch. I'm here playing Magic 30, 40, sometimes even 50 hours a week. If you're someone who enjoys constructed Magic, this is definitely the channel for you. We play a ton of different decks here. Usually we change decks every 60 minutes to 2 hours, so you get a lot of variety every day. As always, love to give a shout out to my wonderful subs. I wouldn't be here doing that without their support, so thanks to all of them for keeping me employed. I'd also like to plug a couple of my sponsors here really quick. Hey, the Mad Tipper coming in hot with the 12 months. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for keeping me around. I appreciate the support. I'd like to plug a couple of my sponsors here really quick as well. The Nerd Rage Gaming Championship Series A... This is live. The Nerd Rage Gaming Championship Series, a $5,000 cash tournament series that happens every single month in the Midwestern United States. If you can't make it out to the Midwest to play in one of their standard, modern, or legacy tournaments, be sure to check out their streaming coverage as well at twitch.tv/NRG series. I'll be playing in one of their tournaments coming up here in June, so be sure to check that out to see me play some paper standard. BCW Supplies will have to help you protect your very valuable paper, Magic the Gathering cards, and they give you the best bang for your buck possible. If you head on over to bcwsupplies.com, you can get 100 count of their Elite Guard 2 sleeves for just $8 before you use my code Jeff10 to get an additional 10% off. And finally, playdkp.com makes a very unique product in the magnetic game board called the Dragon Claw. I'd love to help you play Magic on the go, whether it be in the car, on a plane, or outside in the wind. And using code Jeff5, you can save 5% on your purchases there with them. We are 2-0 with our Grixis deck to start the day, so we're heading on into our third match and see how things go. I think I keep this. Sangir Junkie, thank you for the Prime support. The fact that it doesn't have a second Black Source makes it a little bit iffy. Like, removal into Thief is pretty good. I always want to donate for a specific deck on the app. So if you're looking to bump a deck that's already in the deck queue, just make your donation or cheer your bits and indicate the deck name that you're looking to bump up that's already there, and it'll get bumped up after the stream. If you are looking to add a new deck to the deck queue, the details for doing that can be found on this webpage on my website. Hopefully they're Esper Hero and not Esper Controller Planeswalkers. So I want these Tyrant Scorns to have text boxes. Moment of Craving in the main deck does not bode well for our Tyrant Scorns. I think the control decks are more likely to play this than the mid-range decks. Second Thief is nice. Yep. Is it an argument to wait on Thief? I don't have double black lands. So there might be, but the lack of double black means that no. Which again was, I almost mulliganed this hand just because I didn't have double black in 4 lands. Such a bad draw. I'm gonna concede if this doesn't resolve. Yeah. Pretty dead from here. Just have a bunch of lands in play, have 2 dead cards in our hand, and just like won't have the ability to like cast our big top end that's really powerful even if we draw it. Huh? So, like, looking at this and, like, looking at how many cards I have to bring in here, I feel like the sideboard's probably misconstructed a little bit. Just because these are... looking at my deck list here, I have 65 cards that are potentially good against another control deck. And, like, even if I trim these, I still have, like, 63-ish cards that are potentially good against another control deck. So, like, that probably means there's too many cards in my sideboard for a matchup like this. So, like, if my opponent has, like, Thief of Sanity post-board, Bedeck is really good. So I, generally speaking, don't mind having Bedeck post-board in matchups like this. And again, if you haven't seen me do this on stream before, one of the best ways to construct your sideboards when you're thinking about, like, what cards you want and what cards you don't want is sit down and think about how you want to sideboard in various matchups before you actually play them, so that way you can have elegant ins and outs lined up to start. Negate was an okay draw there. I boarded out my Bedeck, so I just, like, can't interact with this card. Is Negate fine versus Mono Red? It depends. Negate's one of those cards against Mono Red where it's, like, less bad than some other things, but it's not a card that I would consider, like, actively good, if that makes sense. So I assume we're losing Thief of Sanity here. Okay. So, is this a land? This must be a land, right? Wow! Let the greed consume you. Maybe this is a removal spell? Thunk. An opponent is actually playing a more controlling version of Esper Hero, so that's good to know. My Bedecks are going to be coming back in next game. Oh, this is a pretty decent Thief hit. Yikes! Yikes! That's unfortunate. I think I'm in for that. Could go either way.
I'll protect you.
Hey, non-straight zebra, thanks for the 6 months. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Hope you're having a good one. I don't know. Like, so, one of the ways that you can win through getting hit by Thief is, grinding, like, them being choked on land so they, like, can't leverage their card advantage. So, like, that's definitely something that's happened here. And, like, my opponent had Teferi the Time Raveler to, like, undo one of my Thief hits, essentially. So, this game actually feels like it's pretty incredibly close still. Like, they're at 14 and we have similar number of cards. What if we don't cast this in the worst possible way? Thanks, Serena. Good lord. Think I keep this Duress? I'd be interested in playing it later this week. Yeah, pretty much to be a fine run back. The fact that that deck has an infinite combo in it goes a long way towards keeping it relevant. Alright, so we're staring down the barrel of this veto, but I've got like 2 removal spells and 2 threats, so let's draw some lands here, hopefully. They're dead in 3. Probably see Bedevil go away here. Really? We're taking the Ugin. That's interesting. They left a card on top of their deck. That doesn't go well for me. Alright, I'm just going to get the veto out of their hands here. It's not too bad. We have to discard a card when we replay him. You dare tell me you drew another veto? Good lord. That's so unfortunate. Moving forward, Thunderous, I'm planning to be done streaming about 3 o'clock in the afternoons, most afternoons, depending on viewer count and like what else I have going on. I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. You gotta be kidding me. Good lord, just unbelievably punished for not playing this back out right away.
Here goes nothing.
Maybe I should have just done this last turn.
Only time will tell.
We're gonna like draw Planeswalker here because that's how this game's been going, and I don't have this negate up. Sweet. Sweet. Alright. In it to win it. Let's go. Hey, Dude Light, coming in hot with the sub gifties. Alright, getting on the scoreboard. So, they're actually the hero deck, which I think makes this not good enough. Will do Dude Light. I believe the standard schedule's been staying mostly in check, so I believe that should put it up tomorrow. I think I actually just want max Scorns here on the draw to kill their creatures. Hey, Placebo Elf, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. That sounds great. Removal spell, Thief, Nick, 7 foil cards, send me up. Welcome to Hollandia, Pie God. Alright, please don't have a thief to follow this up. Just an Narset, deal.
If you wish to connect with thoughtfulness before action.
Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and just jam the thief here. Because, if they play search next turn, they're unlikely to play a removal spell as well.
I have just the trick for this.
Sure. Yep. Do you have a Doomblade? Oh, it's so brutal. It negates my... It gets rid of my negate, too. This card is such a tempo beating. Oh, that's a good pickup. So we're probably going to see them contempt the thief this turn, and then I get to go land Nicol Bolas.
No, I am not making this up as I go.
Doomblade is just like a generic removal spell. There's an actual card called Doomblade, but the way I use the vernacular on this stream is just like generic removal spell, essentially.
Gods once. I am one
I'd like to 2-for-1 you. Oh no, I forgot about Narset. Am I supposed to just down tick? Maybe I'm supposed to just impulse with this. Yeah, I'm probably supposed to just impulse with this. This card is so much worse than Ugin so much of the time.
I outsmarted you eons ago.
I'm gonna get like Elder Spelled here and just curl up in a ball and cry.
I will return one day.
Oh, dead.
Open mind.
I mean, like, playing against Teferi just means we should construct our decks differently. Like, perhaps in that matchup, that there's, like, two takeaways there, right? Like, I could complain about, like, my Negate not working, or, like, I should consider, like, going back to the sideboard and, like, having Duress instead of Negate in my deck. Is probably the more apt thing to be doing there. Another Command the Dreadhorde deck. We got really lucky and eked by this earlier today, but I think we were pretty fortunate for that to happen. Morning Sizzle. Is 4 Duress too much along with Thought Erasure? Yeah, I think so a lot of the time. Two girls, one jealous. Oh, the internet. Oh, the internet.
The ring of my sword is your death knell.
And again, just like main deck negate, feeling incredibly awkward, just like I wish this was a card that just like interacted with the board.
Cannot hone your prowess.
Drawn Go, thank you for the 5-month resub. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. Welcome back.
I require your body, not your soul.
And again, just like at this point, I don't have a Ritual of Soot in my deck, so I don't really have a comeback mechanic from here. Wow, they didn't attack my Narset. Okay, maybe that gives me a shot.
Meditate and prepare.
Nope, just a bunch of cards that don't impact the board. All right. Well, I guess the plan is hope they never hit blue mana. Sounds good, Rad. Try this. Let's try this. I'm all alone, there's no lands here beside me. Do 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 do. London mulligans when. London mulligans red. Not today. This is where the magic happens, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think this really changed my thoughts on these Grixis more mid-range or controlling decks. Someone had referenced a deck that had like Dreadhorde, Butcher, and Legion War Boss in the main deck, and that sounds kind of interesting, but again, these decks just don't have the tools to be a good control deck in this format, and just like, you need to be aggressive and pressure your opponent, and this deck just is unable to do that. The main deck negates were a lot better than I expected. Outside of like getting them shut off by Tefreeze, they were very reasonable. Discovery was just an incredibly disappointing card. A lot of the time I just would have preferred this had been a land, and not to mention like the anti-synergy with like, or the awkwardness of this card against like this card in the opposing decks. I don't think Davriel's a particularly playable card in this format. I think a lot of the other decks are just generating so much card advantage, just like making your opponent discard their worst card even 3 times just isn't good enough a lot of the time. Not to mention, this Planeswalker doesn't protect himself, so against any deck that's putting any amount of stuff into play, he generally only makes them discard 1 or 2 cards, which really is not good enough. So, whether or not Ashiok is good against the Dreadhorde decks depends on what your deck is doing, because remember, they can Dreadhorde stuff out of your graveyard, and Ashiok can't exile stuff out of your graveyard. So, in general, cards that I prefer to have against the Dreadhorde deck are things like Tibalt or Tameo, depending on, or sorry, not Tameo, Tibalt or Honor Guard, Cutly Honor Guard, depending on what you're playing. There's also various like graveyard hate to like exile both graveyards and stuff like that if you want really narrow answers, but I think Ashiok is like kind of awkward on average. Also something that's awkward is after they kill your Ashiok, when you have it in play, they can Dreadhorde your Ashiok back and use it to fill their graveyard up afterwards.